Thanks, Marie. Well, my name is Daljit Gil Badesha. I live in Surrey, and I've been a practitioner in the nonprofit world and then government in a management role for the last couple of decades. So I trained for my master's, probably finished about, I think, 16 years ago now. It's been quite a bit of time, lost track. And when I finished my master's, I went into providing child and youth mental health counseling and support to families with young children, doing a lot of outreach into the South Asian community. From an early childhood perspective, there was a lot of brain science coming out at that point about the importance of early years and what parents and communities can do together to support healthy child development. And I work closely with parents as well in the South Asian community. Prior to that, in a less of a clinical role, more of a community intervention support worker role, I worked with young offenders. So youth that were before the courts on some condition of release, bail or probation, and helping them to reintegrate into school or work or community by supporting them based on the conditions of their release and supporting their families. And what I saw through all of that work that I was doing, that as a trained clinician, we have an opportunity to make change. And my interest and my orientation in counseling had always been, and still is, solution-focused, client-centered, and family systems. And so when I started to understand systems broadly outside of the family unit, as a professional, I felt incongruent, actually. I felt I can support a client and a family at a time, or I can work on the community development side and help systems improve, so we're not sending clients back to the same old systems that continue to marginalize them. And so for me, my energy and my interest led me into working more in the management role in the clinical field and looking at, well, what can we do from a policy perspective, and how can we develop new programs or change and improve current programs so families are better served. And I also saw that the entry into of the number of clients that we have out here in Surrey and Fraser region, it was just a huge amount of clients needing support, and government resources were limited, and they weren't growing at the same rate our client needs were. So I put my energy into a systems approach. And after working in nonprofit, while working nonprofit, I actually made quite a deliberate decision to leave nonprofit because I wanted to see, what can government do to support clients? I know what nonprofits can do. I understand our capacity and our constraints. And I wanted to understand, well, what can governments do now to support clients? So I made a change and moved into local government and started focusing on children and youth, but more from a healthy child development lens. So that preventative, early upstream work. And I did that for about a decade. And then I deliberately left government to go back into nonprofit again, so I could bring those skills around policy and government systems back out into the nonprofit sector and help build up the sector and bridge those worlds that, unless you have people who are working in those different worlds, you don't understand the opportunities and constraints in the different sectors. And so because I take such a multidisciplinary approach in how I serve clients and in how I am as a professional, it has helped broaden and strengthen my perspective and my knowledge base in contributing to how problems are resolved.
That's great.